Hi Apartment Therapy, my name is Ella. Welcome to my 900 square foot apartment in Brooklyn, New York. Come on in. I live here with my husband, my 3 children, and my 2 dogs. I have lived here for 6 years. When I first moved in, the space was obviously empty, so it was a blank canvas for me to do whatever I was dreaming up. And what I was really attracted to was the open floor plan, first of all, but also the exposed beams. Loved the character and the history behind the factory aspect. This was an old factory in the 1800s. This was something that I could really put a stamp on. So the space has gone through a million different transformations since I've lived here. And especially as my family has been growing, we've been transforming it just to make sure that it suits our family at the time in the space that we're in. One of the pieces in the space that is really important to me, that was one of the first things that I designed within the space, was this custom sofa. I always wanted a really big, comfy sofa that the whole family could just hang out on and have movie nights. It has a ton of fill underneath. It just feels so luxurious and nice, and I just want to like soak into this at the end of the day. I own a custom furniture company called Stitchroom, and we custom fabricate all different types of upholstered furniture. But it was super important to me to make sure that we're finding a sofa that is the correct size to fit not only the family, but also the dogs, and create a piece that has a storage element. So underneath there is hidden storage that I use for long term. I selected a fabric that could withstand all of the elements, it feels like, with having 3 kids and 2 dogs. And I chose a color too that hides a lot of the dirt that just naturally gets tracked into here. The covers are removable, they're sustainable, and it's a great feature to have in this apartment because it looks cool and it's nice and it's comfy, but it also serves the purpose of being super kid friendly. With 3 kids and with the transitions that they go through, they have different needs, especially when it comes to toys. All the time. I really wanted to create a space that felt so good, so when I came home from work at the end of the day and put all the toys away, it felt very mature and adult. So one of the things that I first brought into the space was this coffee table. This is also a custom piece from Stitchroom. I wanted to make sure that I was designing a piece that if they were hitting, there was some padding involved, so they're not gonna hurt themselves. I also wanted a surface that I could wipe down because a lot of toys are put on here throughout the day. We do drawings, we do coloring, we do everything right here. We have dance parties on here. I change babies on here. I wanted this to be a multifunctional piece that could be sufficient for how our family uses the space. This rug I purchased on Facebook Marketplace. I go through a lot of rugs, having a lot of kids and dogs, but this one is washable, which is super nice. It's a Revival Rugs rug. One really fun element that I think is super unique is this faux custom IKEA DIY. They are called the IKEA Ivar cabinet. And so I purchased 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they came in a pine color. They're like a raw wood when you first purchase them. And I primed them, and then I picked a paint color that I thought worked really well, painted them, added some knobs. I also put them on 2-inch feet just to make sure that the doors can open with the rug, because when I first created this, I didn't do that part. And then the kids were having a hard time opening the doors. So I elevated it. And then the last thing I did, just to make it all cohesive and make it look a little bit more custom, was I put this piece of plywood that spans the entire length just as like a little countertop. And that has created just a nice effect and brings everything together. This is where all of the toy storage is. So constantly I am changing out these bins. So every time there's a birthday or a holiday and the kids are getting new gifts, I go through, I edit everything, and I take out like the broken toys, I donate some things, and this is where I max out on the toys. So if it doesn't fit in here, then we don't have it anymore. Also had this CB2 bookshelf that at first was on the floor, but then I thought I should use the ceiling height that we have here, that we're blessed with. And I put this on top of the cabinet. This is where we have some of our plants and more decorative and just bringing some natural elements into the space. And then I have all of my favorite art pieces that I've collected over the years mounted on the wall. This piece I actually found on the street when I was walking home one day. It was just rolled up and I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I should probably frame it. I found the frame also in the lobby of a building that was garbage. So I took that frame and then I framed the piece. And then this leather piece I actually made myself. It's like a painted leather that I wanted to bring some elements that were a little bit more sculptural into the space. So I designed and created this little piece to fill out the wall. Welcome to our designated dining area. This table I selected to make sure that I could fit our whole family, but also didn't have any sharp corners. So I chose this pill-shaped table. We have this transformable high chair that can serve as a seating area for the baby all the way up to the toddlers, up to an adult. We also have a storage bench that the kids can access, and this has a lot of art supplies. They're really into art. In the mornings when they wake up super early, they just come here, they take the stuff out. It's kind of a mess, but it works because they can access everything. And then it's hidden at the end. I wanted to bring a lot of color into the space through art and other elements besides the furniture so that I could constantly be evolving and changing as we grow. One of my favorite pieces is this art piece that I actually did in college, and I've just kept it ever since. My background's in art, so I have that connection to art. These are puzzles that I actually did that I framed. This art piece, I love the color of it. I found this on the street finds, picked it up, put it on the wall. My husband and I are both in the creative world, and so we really try to honor that with our kids as well. So this is some of their art pieces. This frame is really cool because you can just put all of the previous art in it and there's storage within inside. So I'm constantly changing out the art of the kids, and whenever they're working on something that they love or they brought home from school, I pop it in here and they feel like they're a little artist. Another element that I wanted to utilize to create a division of space and create its own zone were these two pillars. So these are structural for the building. There's one here and then there's one on the other side. And in between, it was just dead space. There was nothing there. I couldn't really fit anything, but I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to create a moment. And what definitely completes the space is on the mantle, I can always have decorative items. I also added a mirror. I found this on Facebook Marketplace, and it bounces off light, and it's just a great place to check out how you look before you're heading out the door. And this disco ball has been with me in every apartment that I've been in since I've lived in New York, and so I had to find a home, and this felt like the perfect spot. This is a custom cabinet DIY that I created to solve the problem of still having limited space. For this project, I actually built the entire thing from scratch. I used 2x4s, went to Home Depot, picked up all the supplies. I used drywall, I used plywood, and I cut all of the pieces here. And then I assembled with screws and glue, and I plastered it all, and I spackled, and then I painted it, sanded it, tried to create a full custom cabinet. It's not the most renter friendly, but in my thought process, I thought I was adding value to the space. I also wanted concealed storage to make sure that you didn't see all the stuff that's in here. So inside, I have a lot of food, I have water bottles, I have all of the things that kind of just want to be hidden behind the closed doors. Also up here, I have a bunch of long-term storage. Even when I have created this middle console, it's still nice to have as much storage as possible. This is the entry space, so when you walk in, you'll see the shoe shelf that I designed and created. So within this space, there are little nooks that I was able to utilize, and also the height I really wanted to make sure that we were using. They are 10-foot ceilings, so I created the shoe storage to go vertical. My husband can reach really tall, so he can put his shoes up here, and then the kids and I can be a little bit lower. I wanted to make sure we're using every square foot and every inch of this space, and this was one of the first opportunities to do that. This is the washer dryer closet. There was a little bit of space on the left side of the washer and dryer, again, using that full height. I customized the shelf that's to the left. It has drawers that pull out and it goes pretty deep. This is where I keep cleaning supplies, bulk items, soap, all of that stuff. All right, let's head into the bedroom. A big challenge that this space had was this alcove area didn't have any windows. So I brought in extra lighting and I created a more light, zen sort of vibe back here. These curtains I also added to hide the screen that you see behind it. I use this at night. We watch movies back here. I also utilized the 2 columns. These are the same location as the columns that are in the kitchen. And I wanted to use the in-between, so I added shelving, that's more storage. And then I actually found this piece at Goodwill and it fit perfectly between the 2 columns. So I painted it black and I used this again just for clothing and for other storage. So as you see through the door, there's an additional space. Originally, this space was for the kids and I was in the other bedroom with my husband. So when I was pregnant with the second child, I decided I need a division of space for the kids because I was worried about one crying and the other one hearing. So as one does when they are 37 weeks pregnant, I decided to build a wall. Went to Home Depot, got all the wood, got the drywall, did the whole thing, got up on the ladder, plastered it all, and decided to create this division. I had this cased opening that I had created, but now you see a door. Previously there was just a curtain, and I needed something to create a little bit more sound dampening. So one day I was leaving the building and there was construction happening, and these 2 guys were carrying a door about to throw into the dumpster. And I said, wait, this is the perfect door for my nursery. I cut the door down to fit the height, but it was the perfect width. And I painted it, and I added this little knob that you see throughout the space. It's the same knobs that are on the nightstands. So those were not original. I added them to kind of create this whole element. And then there's no hinge, but there is a magnet at the top. So when you close it, it does keep the door closed. And this is the nursery. Welcome. So the nursery is a really efficient space. It's tiny and it's cozy, but it's also kind of echoey. So one aspect that I wanted to bring in was some sound dampening. So these panels that you see are all painted. They are sound dampening felt panels. I added a trim piece at the top to make it look like wainscoting a little bit. When I'm sitting in here with the baby at night and then the 2 older kids are screaming in the living room, I can't hear them. And so that to me was so beautiful because I really could define a space that was a nursery for the baby and not have to worry about the sound. This corner already had a built-in kind of niche because of the closet that's in the space. So I wanted to elevate what was already here, not only physically, but design-wise as well. So these are the same cabinets that you saw in the living room. They're a little bit deeper. There are 2 different versions. There's like a shallow version and a deep version. So these are the deep version of the cabinets. Painted them, added knobs, went vertical, and then I needed a changing table. So I built in this little custom ledge to help find a space that we can actually change the baby on. So this is great. And then because of the nature of the size of the cabinets, they're not custom, they came a specific size. There was a little bit of an opening that remained, but it was perfect because that's where the diaper pail is. Because this is a makeshift room, it did not come with any lighting. So I purchased this plug-in light that had 3 bulbs connected to it. And then I also purchased the little paper lanterns to go on top as a decorative item. And I fed the cord through the other side where there was an outlet and then connected it to an extension cord. So that's how we got light in here. This chair was a street find and I reupholstered it. I thought it would be perfect for the kids. So I've had this chair for 6 years. I also brought in this little chrome side table to tie in the other hardware of the knobs that are in the space. And then as you see here, this is one of the 3 closets in the space. I use this primarily for long-term storage. I have skis in there, I have an old crib, I have baby mattresses, things that I don't need to access often because the baby is in here. So this is more long-term storage that I access once in a while. Welcome to the kids' room. This is a really unique space because it's technically the primary bedroom. It has an ensuite bathroom. My husband and I used to stay in this room, but as our family has grown, it made more sense to have the kids in this room. As you can see, the main feature of the kids' room is the triple bunk bed. I built this bunk bed and designed it to ensure that we were using the vertical space. This is a trend that we've seen in this apartment. There can be 1 bunk for each kid eventually. Right now, there's only 2 kids that are staying in here. So my daughter's on the bottom and then my son's in the middle. And eventually they'll move their way up when the baby is a little bit older and he can actually sleep in a bed. I also designed it so that underneath has enough clearance and enough space that I could put a trundle bed. As you can tell, I'm trying to fit as many kids as possible into this bedroom, which is hilarious. But for now, underneath is shoe storage. And if I have a 4th kid, then I'll have enough space, right? As we move towards the window, this is another custom piece that I created, which is a daybed that has storage underneath. So as you can see, there's a little handle right here. So underneath, I just put blankets, other toys, and other items that aren't being utilized right now. It's accessible and also is a daybed. I have guests stay here sometimes when my mom's visiting. This is her little nook, and it just creates a division of space that the kids can use. They read books on here, and it's just really utilizing the space to its maximum capacity without feeling completely overwhelming. This is a little nook that was created because of the functionality of the space. Because of the closet, the doors actually need to open, so I had to place the bunk bed at a distance far enough away from the door so that I could access the closet. I added hooks so that the kids can hang their coats and other items and their backpacks. And then I also added a sconce and scooter storage. So this is where a lot of their stuff just lives when they come home from school. And then up here, I don't know what this was, but it came with the space. It's really cool. I decided to put books in it and a little plant to make it a little niche moment. So these black cabinets are what house the kids' clothing. It is definitely a challenge as they grow so quickly and the seasons change. So I'm constantly turning and changing over their clothes that are in here. I also use the same bookshelf that I had in the living room. This one I just didn't paint. So this is how the bookshelf came, CB2. Every couple months, I take the books that are on the top and bring them down so that they can access. And it's a great place to have the kids be able to reach and pick out whatever they want to read at night. This is the kids' bathroom. Everything that you see here was original to the apartment. I loved the black subway tile and the tin ceiling and the penny tile on the floor. It really created a mood that I thought the interior designers of the space did an amazing job. So I didn't touch this space very much. I love the dark vibe. It just creates a really cool element to the space. A couple of things that come to mind when thinking about how to comfortably live with a large family in a relatively small space is thinking about the amount of things that you have. And if you want to keep stuff, you can. You have to find creative solutions to what that is. Sometimes under a couch, under a bed, in a closet up high. You have to get creative with the amount of things that you have, but it's so doable. And I love sharing my story with other people because I am proof that you can have a relatively big family and have a very fruitful life in a relatively small space. There's less clutter, there's less stuff everywhere, and it requires the kids to be creative. So what we like to do is have bored time. Sometimes we're being bored, there's nothing around, and then I come back in 5 minutes, there's tents being built with blankets, there's kids jumping off playing the floor is lava on all the durable furniture that I've created, and it creates a really creative environment without clutter. When I first moved into this space, I was pregnant with the first kid, so I didn't have any kids yet. And the design and the intention behind the space and what I needed was very different 6 years ago than it is today. So what I've learned about myself is that I can be extremely adaptable. Home does not have to be stuck. It doesn't have to be the same. It can be evolving just as we are as humans. And I think what I've also learned about myself is that I'm ever changing. As I've gotten older and my design styles and taste has changed, I've been able to adapt that. Having a child transforms you as a human. I had all 3 kids physically in this space. I had home births for them. My daughter was born right here on the rug. Different rug, don't worry, we got a new rug. This is where we're growing together. This is where I started a business, and I have such a fond connection to it.